Meir, you are the owner of Photobooth in Florida,
Yep.
South Beach Photo Booth, right? Or
South
do
Beach
you
Photobooth Co. Yeah,
South Beach Photo Booth Co. Sorry.
it's okay.
So welcome to the first ever podcast. All right. So tell me about what's happening in Florida right now. Are you able to do events? What kind of restrictions do you have? Like, I know every state's different, but tell me about your state.
Yeah. Every state is, of course, different. Even our state as a whole is different. Right now, we in our Tri-County area, which is our major operating area itself, it's operating under different uh, rules and restrictions than other parts of the state, which are, being allowed to open a lot sooner. So in our counties, we're into phase one, which is, there's still curbside pickup for uh, a lot of venues, restaurants, salons, etc. So limited space, limited amount of people that can go in, for it. Some things are, going great. Essential businesses, your Costco's, your Publix's down here. That's our major supermarket brand, and so forth. Those are, of course, operating like normal. A lot of the venues, of course, are still closed, either, by just the lack of need to be open, or strictly by county rules, regulations as far as meetings go, and so forth. As our counties go into phase two, which is going to be happening in just a few weekends, of course, they're going to be allowed a maximum of 50 persons per event. Now, a lot of the venues, a lot of the hoteliers are working out what that means, because that doesn't just count the guests that are on site, but also the operators that are on site, as in the staff members who are there serving, the vendors that come in, and so forth for it. So as of this moment, what we are currently seeing is a big turnover into the virtual event for our corporate planners and our corporate events and clients. And for our private events, we are now getting, and actually have performed as of last night. Shh, don't tell anybody. Hopefully
I
this
was going to
broadcast.
say,
Yeah.
didn't you have an
Oops.
event last night?
We did. We did a drop-off booth because we are sensitive to the topic. We here at Sobi Booths, one of our core dynamics is we believe in science. I don't know if that's an actual brand core dynamic that you could have, but we do. And we are trying to not only service our clients, especially when they're looking for something fun and interesting, but also we want to keep everybody safe. And paramount to that is our staff members, because we all, in what we do, serve a very interesting part of the event world. We have such intimate contact with the guests so closely, so interactively, to throw the staff members back out into this post-pandemic world now would just be detrimental to everything and everyone while you're at it. So we're taking steps. We're taking baby steps for that. We're letting some of our planners know as they move forward with how they can help their clients and what kind of events they can do, of different kind of solutions that are available for the safety and the comfort and the clarity of what we're able to do overall, be it drop-off booths, touchless interactions, digital experiences, anything and everything that's possible that can just be an offering for folks when they need to accommodate either how many guests they can have or how they need to perform the event. And then we foresee, as we move into phase three, phase four of our state and county opening back up, to really the tone being set from the hotels and from the venues with regards to load-in procedures, time of day, things about how you can interact with guests, where, etc. We're expecting some semblance of needing to go from a few normal things that we've done in the past, be it our traditional photo booth experiences being hosted by two persons at all times, now being modified to maybe one staff member, or being modified to an interactive experience, but one where we can safely stay 6 feet away from a guest and still have it be fun, and so forth. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're trucking along with so far. And every day is a new experience and a new battle. But our relationship in the industry with everybody that we know has really helped out greatly.
I want to touch on that in just a minute.
Yeah.
But can you tell me a little bit more about the event that happened last night? Like how, I'm assuming it was a small event because I know here in Canada, we can still have gatherings of 5 people or less, which has really brought the rise of these micro weddings where essentially you have, a officiant, the couple, and 2 witnesses, and that constitutes the entire 5 people. So we are still seeing that happening. Obviously, that people don't necessarily have a photo booth for that, but I'm assuming that your event was also a smaller, you know, family oriented event. And are you seeing others similar to it coming in?
We are seeing others similar to it coming in. Last night's event was a graduation slash birthday party for 2 daughters. So one was graduating from college and they were celebrating that, and the other was celebrating her 17th birthday. So it was a quick 2-in-1. It was strictly, I believe, immediate family to the parents. So not even, I think like if there were 12 people there, I would honestly be surprised
Mhm.
for what it was. And we respect a client's wishes. It is, of course, their home. It's not a public gathering. It's a private one and so forth. Families, of course, know who and where they've been overall. And to respect our staff members and the current phases that our counties are going through, that's why we're currently opting for drop-off experiences where either it is something that is tablet based, or as we move forward and we can figure out how to make it easy for guests to perform, DSLR based experiences that are touchless, either through foot pedals or great technology of hand waving or whatever there might be to that end. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, that's what we're seeing in the social space. A lot more of these intimately sized events where the drop-off style experience is what's reigning through currently.
And what do you like? What's your price bracket for these drop off booths?
Just shy of 650 if they were to come and pick it up themselves. The average is, of course, starting at 775. As no one necessarily wants to come and get it. They just want to kind of show it up, set up, and we come and pick it back up and so forth. And then from there, it depends upon what they want to add on.
Mhm.
Uh, Clients with whom are looking to do this are not necessarily budget conscious. They would have had a party. It's just a matter of they have to think of it on a smaller scale for
That's
what they can
interesting.
do. Yeah.
So you're seeing a
So
shift of the like budget clients who would normally take this drop off service to people who are just they have the budget but can't have the party.
right, exactly. They
Nice.
would normally definitely have the party for where they are. They absolutely do want to celebrate, just like we all do. Everybody wants to get out. Everybody's got cabin fever. That's the entire world right now
Hmm.
for it. And that's so far what we're seeing. Clients that do want to celebrate, they do want to memorialize it in a special way, and they want to have the fun and they want to be able to enjoy it. And in some ways, having a photo booth there in an intimate setting that is on its own, where the guests can come over and do whatever they want, is sometimes more gratifying for them as well.
Hmm. Okay. No, that's a really interesting little shift there because I mean we do the same. We have a similar drop off, and it has traditionally been for budget people. But that's interesting that the people who have the budget are now just looking to get the photo booth. They just want the photo booth, right? And they
Yeah,
want the
for sure.
memories and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And enlighten me on how you are currently doing your marketing strategies because I know we've talked a lot about this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
what's worked for you and what hasn't worked for you?
Okay, so everybody's in the same boat. No one's got money. And I mean that in the sense of us as vendors. We don't have the dollars to drop on doing marketing. So you've got to do it all guerrilla marketing. Because if you didn't, if you were doing it through Google AdWords, if you were doing it through any kind of paid advertisement and so forth, you, in my opinion, are spinning a lot of your wheels. You're wasting a lot of money for it. If, however, you're doing it through referral uh, by your compatriots and by the associations that you have within your industry, that's where a lot of it is coming to the fray. And that's what we're seeing a lot of too, these relationships that we have with our vendor partners, with other suppliers, with the planners with whom we know. and we've gotten to know over the years, that's where a lot of this business is coming from. And it comes out of the blue sometimes. And other times, it's just us pounding the pavement and letting everybody know about everything that we're doing. Through the entire month of April, through our other company, Hollywood GameWorks, Sobeys sister company, we ran trivia games through the entire month to let everybody know about this new digital experience that we have for interaction and trivia. Because you need to not only start thinking about what kind of experiences you can service people for within these next few weeks, next few months, Q4, whatever it may be,
I know you don't
et
want to say
cetera.
it.
Yeah, no one wants to say it. Whatever it may be, it's not only the fact that you need to think about these experiences that you could do, you need to think about that word experience again, which I'm finding is the thing that's lacking. A lot of people are forgetting that it's about an experience, not just what kind of technology you can throw at people.
I couldn't
Um,
agree with you more.
yeah, because when we were all operating 2.5 months ago, and before that, we all remembered that we were in the service industry. We all remembered that we were making experiences for people. We all remembered things like making someone download an app to have an experience was not the way to go. And now we're all starting to lean towards those things, and it doesn't really work
Mhm.
for folks. So the campaign that we did with the trivia was not only a portrayal of what we could do with technology, it was also the ability to give them an experience, to bring them into it, to have them have fun with it as well. And that's now paying dividends because all of our corporate planners are now finally sinking into the idea, hey, we need to start making digital packets, digital presentations, help plan out with that. And we now need to fold in all of our vendors with whom can perform those things and
Mhm.
do it. And now in the month of May, we've started our branded virtual booth with all of its bells and whistles, and we're posting it out there and so forth. To go back to the first thing I said, none of us have money for marketing dollars. So any dollar that you do spend on marketing has to be so strategic, and you have to use that so smart that you have to consider how much time you have with that and how many places you can post it out to and so forth. If you're paying for whatever service you're paying for to make a virtual photo booth right now, or if you've purchased software, you have to say, okay, I've got X amount of time to start putting it out there. Because now it's not only down to you and the people around you. Now we all have virtual things. I don't have to be in Chicago to service Chicago. I could be everywhere for that.
Mhm.
So marketing is hard. Marketing is harder. But
Yep.
marketing has always been hard, and that's okay. That's it's totally all right to just look at this whole thing and go, oh, this is tough. It's like it's kind of always been tough if you really want to stick it out, but this is one of those times where it's going to be a make or break kind of situation for a few folks, and unfortunately, but I know that some people and some of our friends are going to come out of this so strong and so killer when it's all said and done, and it's going to open a lot of people's eyes as well.
Yeah, I will have to wholeheartedly agree with that one too. Now, what's interesting, you were saying that, for the whole month of April, you were advertising one of your offerings, I guess, and you're now seeing it a month later, right? So,
Mhm.
it seems like people need to get comfortable with everything. And it is really about just being relevant and staying in people's faces. And there's been a lot of back and forth discussion about, whether or not people should be marketing themselves in a time where, you can't really do anything and you can't have events. And so many people in our industry right now are suffering, right? Like, even though you might, depending on how your business is structured, some people are on unemployment, some people are already losing exorbitant amount of money on like commercial leases and that kind of stuff because you have no income coming in. And I know it's very different everywhere. Like, I'm in Canada, my situation is very different for people in the US and people around the world. Um, but it just seems like there is a fine line between how to market yourself, how you did before, and how you market yourself now is just very different. So, was your approach more, or what it sounds like is like, here's something fun for you to do while you guys are at home by doing the trivia games and all that, and then subtly having them understand that this is a product that you offer?
A good friend of both you and I, Miss Marilee Kimball. out of the great state of Washington, said something to me a couple of weeks ago that has stuck with me for a while. This is not a time for doing, this is a time for being. And that goes for your personal life, that goes for your business life, and for a lot of things, because this is a moment in the world's history that is absolutely unprecedented. It is not like any day that you've had before. And so this is 100% a time to just kind of live and live as best as you can. This is also one of those times where you have to sit back and just say, like, this isn't just me. You know, you and I have talked about this. Mental health in this time and age right now is so important
Mhm.
because it feels like it's just your business, and it's not just your business. And then we talk to our peers and it's like, oh, it's just photo booths, how are we going to recover? It's like, you have to remember, it's beyond that. It's the entire event world. And then the event world, which right now is just feeding on itself, going like, oh, we're in the event world, we're suffering like you guys don't understand. um, the event world also needs to understand it's the world, like this is happening to everybody all over the place, for it. So the reason why I say the mental capacity to just have compassion for yourself is so important, because I've seen a lot of, and again, my opinion, this is my opinion of my own, I've seen a lot of people try to keep relevant by posting and posting and posting and posting not only every day, but it almost seems like every hour, for that, to regards of events that they've done and they've seen and so forth. And I am one that likes to believe that it's a little bit more relevant right now to just honor the moment rather than trying to ignore it, or trying to convince yourself that, times were better and we look, forward to getting back to those better times. We all obviously look forward to getting back to those better times. No one wants to sit at home 24 hours a day, having that wonderful argument with their significant other going, why are you doing it that way? That's just all gonna, lead to bad things. But, to that end, that's what we chose to do. We're honoring the moment. We're not sulking in it. We're not trying to ignore it. And we're just saying like, hey, this sucks. I'm kind of tired of Netflix. Anybody want to play some trivia? We're giving away a prize. And it leads to a product, because we're also not trying to bang anybody's head over it, because we don't know who is or isn't doing things. But we're also honoring the relationships that we have, all these wonderful Zoom calls that we're doing, all of these networking meetings that are now online and so forth, of which structures need to be made. And that's the great part about some of these experiences that we can perform, is that it helps in the structure, it helps in the relationships, and it helps to join in some camaraderie in this thing that we're all feeling. Caterers, people who do meeting planning, other suppliers like, AV and magicians and so forth. Everyone's going through it. So why not try to help them understand what you're able to offer, but do it in such a way where it makes it fun for that precious time that we all should be being, and not feel like we're doing.
I like that. I mean, you know that I believe in that as well. And we've released a couple of products too that were completely free. And really, it was something we just wanted to learn as a company. And we were able to release these uh, for free for everyone to use. And then again, similar situation, it came back to us about a month later where someone actually wanted to pay us to do this. And we're like, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Forgot what this was
fantastic.
like.
Yeah, payment, no way.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
But there's so much back and forth between people saying like, yes, people are spending more time on social media, but I know for myself, I think I've muted half the people on Facebook because I can't take all the conspiracy theories and people complaining and all this. It's like I'm left with like 5 people who just post memes all day long. But Instagram is still an area that people are checking a lot. So it's kind of like, do you take advantage of the fact that people are on there, or do you like, you know, just be, and go with it?
being is important. I will say though, guerrilla marketing through social media right now with all your contacts is super effective, because nobody has anything else to do. So
Yep.
everybody's on social media. The second that I post something, to social media these days, be it one of our new digital offerings, be it one of the pivots that we, may or may not have tried to go through, I get responses right away. So in this moment, you are never going to get the kind of ROI from posting things to your feed ever again. Like right now is when everybody is just an absolute captive audience and so forth. So it really helps to post it out there and make it good. Don't just like, hey, don't ask, don't beg, don't, make it a crowd fund kind of situation. Make
Yeah.
it something good and make it something relevant that people want to be involved in. But right now, oh man, the second I post something to a Facebook feed or our Instagram, whew, just emails right away. It's so good. Love it. It's the best.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, yeah, it's true. You have so much attention of people and people that, probably have never interacted with before and who have sat back and who I honestly knew were following me, but wondered if they even knew I existed. And then out of nowhere, they're like, "Oh, I saw you posted this." I'm like, "Oh, you do know who I am?"
Yeah. Oh,
you know, someone you've been
samesies.
stalking for a while, and you're like, "How do I get this person's attention so
I
they can?"
thought they hated me. What's happened? Oh my God.
Well, I mean, I didn't think that so much, but they were
No,
just.
I'm talking from my own experience. I had one
Oh,
of those
gotcha.
like a week and a half ago, and now we're talking about potentially doing something for like a 5,000 person digital, interaction online
Nice.
where it's like I thought they just weren't impressed last time that we worked together, but
Mhm.
now they're, they have us in there for a solution, for it. The other thing too is patience because your contacts don't know what's going on. So I would say the interesting part right now in this moment in time is that the technology that has always been there um, is ahead of the game for social connection. Things like this, while you and I are in separate countries, so obviously we would be doing this via video conference anyway.
Mhm.
This is normal life right now for everybody else, where everyone's doing a video conference. This is a thing that now, luckily for us, moving forward, hopefully starts becoming the new norm for presentations as opposed to just an actual phone call with a client who's an agency who can't visualize what you're talking about, where you can just pull it up online, for that. So our industry, who has always been very technological, is kind of ahead of the game. I think we all kind of ramped up rather quickly, almost weeks ahead of our clients and our contacts saying like, okay, I think we need something, but I don't know what, where we were ahead of time going, hey, we got some stuff. They're like, good, we're putting together packets. We need this, for that. So patience is obviously a little key right now because even, so like you and I have talked about it, things are only really starting to roll just now for you and me,
Yeah.
for what's going on, for that. So patience has definitely had to play a little part while things kind of reset a little bit for it.
All right, so let's go into some speculation here.
Oh, yes. Okay, here we go.
So we've been in this, I mean, we've been in lockdown here since March 13th.
Yes.
We're officially 2 months. Yeah, 2 months to the day here. And we're still in lockdown. So we're starting to open up into we can do curbside pickup, but we still can't have events, nothing like that. So for us, everything's still very much virtual. And it doesn't look like anything's happening here in Ontario, at least for us, until maybe August, maybe the fall. Now, I'm thinking that for Canada, we might see a little bit of an increase of events in the fall, smaller events. Definitely, um, like you were saying, 50 people or less, but then what constitutes those 50 people and how are we going to maneuver around that? But, there's the whole talk of the second wave and whether or not that's going to happen, or does this mysteriously disappear in the summertime and then we're just great? We're seeing what's happening around the world. What do you think is going to happen for the fall?
Oh
And what do
man.
you think about the second wave?
I've got I've got I've got three thoughts on this,
All
three
right.
theories, because um, and let me, because I'm a big believer in evidence and science. So let me preface this by saying these are all my absolutely uneducated, uninformed. I didn't like read a headline someplace, so I have this topic, in my own mind. But I've got three thoughts. I've got the theoretical thought if we were hopefully dealing with a pandemic the right and proper way. which is as we move into fall, you're going to see a lot of social events doing 50 persons max kind of situation. The hotels and the caterers are going to be moving towards doing more with less, meaning, let's say of a group of 100 guests, you would normally have, I believe it's like about 25 or so, probably not. Don't quote me on that. I don't have uh, my catering source degrees or anything like that for it. But let's say they had 20 servers there to service 100 people. They might have to do 10 just to kind of keep the numbers down,
Buffet
for that.
style. Why even
Yeah,
have any?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just buffet. But to that end, you're going to see some kind of change
Mm-hmm.
overall. That's going to be slow and subtle and steady. I think that towards the end of the year, when things do start to ramp up, you're going to see more of your holiday parties come back. And as of right now, I would guess, in is my pessimistic view, corporate events are going to, big corporate conferences and so forth, are going to start to come back in 2021. That's what I would guesstimated say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's the pessimistic view. My optimistic view is that you do start to see a lot of corporate events come back as well, but they're going to also do the 50, 90, 100 person VIPs as opposed to their normal, 500, 600, certainly not the 3,000, person events and so forth to that end. Cities like here in South Florida will start to do okay based upon that because the budgets are there. They are going to look at it in a sense of like, how much is that per person that we're spending? So we as certain suppliers might get to, do more budgets with a 50 person event, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
You're missing out on what would have been a 3,000 person event, of course, but you got something coming in. And then other cities like, let's say Orlando, which is one of our territories, they're not going to see like their normal, big stuff come on through as well. Again, cities like Atlanta, cities like Chicago, same thing for that. Now, here's my absolutely cynical idea about what will actually happen. And this is cynically optimistic for what it
Okay.
is.
All right.
Um, my cynical idea is everything's going to start to ramp up a lot faster than you think.
Okay.
And a lot of companies are just going to express their freedom to do what they want. They're going to go back to social events in larger numbers, quicker than you think, because everybody feels the same way on stuff. And I've always felt that social events are a great example of life out in the real world. And for those of us that do photo booths, I'll explain very simply. When you shut down for an event, meaning when the clock is ticking down and you got a line, and you either tell somebody they're the last ones, or one of your attendant goes to the end of the line to let everybody know, that's it, that's all we can have, folks. We have to shut down at X and X time, etc. We're sorry, but thank you so much, for having us, and so forth. Inevitably, what does someone say? Someone says,
One more
"Oh,
picture.
one more picture. We
Oh,
just need one more."
no. The best is when you're already torn down all your equipment and they're like, "Are you done
Oh,
for the night?"
100%. 100%.
No,
But
let me just build this up again for you.
what happens when you do let one more person go and you just kind of like,
Another one.
it's another one
Yeah.
and another one. And as of right now, as of this moment, even in our stringent 3-county area here in South Florida, restaurants are supposed to be at 25% capacity. People are already reporting they're at 50% capacity. It's the first freaking week of them doing it. So we're all feeling cooped up. We're all tired of our families. We can love them as much as we want for what it is. We have all, lived through our own episode of Chopped, making whatever we can and whatever's left in the fridge.
I did not.
And so
I
forth.
did not learn to cook.
Good for you. Good for you. My Passover was very interesting, making a lot of different versions of matzah pizza. But people are like, it's not like the meals you had at home were bad. You just want to go out and eat. You just want to have an experience. And my cynical view is that this is going to start to snowball. Now, I'm not condoning it. I absolutely don't want to see the second wave. My father is 89. I want him to be with me and the family longer than what it is. I want all my staff members to be exposed to as little, if nothing, as possible moving
Mhm.
forward. But the realistic idea of how I've always experienced people and how they want to experience life and be social and get together, the need to get together to talk, to speak on sales, to build one's business, and so forth, especially as all businesses are currently taking a downturn right now. All businesses are want to get to an upturn very quickly, very
Mhm.
fast. And that's probably my current favorite theory for what it is.
So you're saying
And
lots of events.
I'm saying, like, the staff members that you did have going into Q1, however many people they were, potentially you could need 25% more of that starting into October and November, December of this year, and certainly moving forward beyond that. Say what you will about the protesters on Capitol Hills holding assault rifles and so forth. Excuse me, semi-automatic rifles for my gun owners and Second Amendment rights carriers. Um, that is certainly an outlier way of going about things here in America, as we have so many. But it's on a sliding scale. We're all feeling like we all want to get out, we all want to get back together, we all miss one another greatly, and so forth, and we all want to do it, and it's going to translate very quickly into this. And that's my take on it. That's my hot take. I don't, you can disagree. I want to
No, I
I
mean,
want to hear other opinions from other people,
I
all the
I
way
love
through. But that's
hearing it.
that's my wild one. And I've only got one friend that agrees for it, and he and I are putting down money. We're like, we bet we're right.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't disagree with you in Florida and some other states in the US. I
You
mean,
can
you
just say
guys,
America as a Canadian. You can just say America. It's totally fine.
the
It's totally
whole,
fine.
well, no, excluding California, they seem to be a little bit different sometimes. But, I mean, I could definitely see that happening. I know here in Canada, it's different. We were very strict regulation. I mean, we have neighbors. Our neighborhood watch is like, there's 3 kids at the park right now. Yeah. They take pictures and post it. Is this your child?
Is your child.
Yeah.
But let me say this. Like, I also don't believe in, like, blanket statements. Unfortunately, social media has bred into us this ability to be very black and white about the world, this very, like, one-sidedness about all of it, that we all know the world's a gray area. And going back to what I said, like, the hotels are going to set the precedent for what they're allowing and
Mhm.
how they're allowing it. So we don't know. Some of them, I have a quote out right now for something in the first week of August for like a 500 person event, and the corporate planners are like, they say it's happening, so we'll see. And then same things going on for one major event coming up in, like, late September, early October, where they're like, well, they can't have a 700 person one, but they're thinking about 450, 500. Still a ton of people,
So
for
many.
what's going on with it. But a lot of it's going to depend on the hotels. Like, a lot of it's going to depend upon what they allow as far as how they're going to serve people, how they're going to let vendors in. Are
Yep.
we going to have one of those little thermal scanners checking us for fevers at the loading
Probably.
dock, as we come in? Right. And then,
Do you have
like,
to wear
is that even
masks?
real? Yeah. Are you going to
Like,
wear a mask? Are you going to wear a branded mask? Like, what kind of mask are you going to do, for it?
yeah.
And to that end, but, like, are those thermal scanners even relevant? What about me here in South Florida, where my staff and I are just sweating in the loading dock, and I'm clearly hotter than I should be, and you're not going to let me in based upon it,
You're like, give me
for
five
that?
minutes and a glass of cold water.
Yeah, and a glass of cold water, and then I'll go from that, for it, for sure. And then, how do you even know if that's working? 50% of people who have contracted COVID-19 are asymptomatic.
Yep.
You could just not have a fever. You don't know, for what it is. So take everyone's theory with a grain of salt, absolutely, including mine, because mine is definitely an outlier one for sure, with it. But the thing right now is, the world is changing, like, almost like at an hourly basis
Oh,
for
yeah.
what's going on for it. So it helps to keep an open mind. it helps to be smart about everything, because obviously, we want to be doing this for a while. Kat, you and I are both photographers at heart, going back on this thing. And certainly when we do photo booths out in the world, we see like people who either we knew or we knew used to do photography. And it's like, I don't do any kind of photography anymore. And I know that you have the same feeling as I. Like, I don't want to go out that way. Like, whatever way they went out, that's not what's going to take me out. And I don't want this to be the thing that took me out.
Yep.
So not only in a business sense, like certainly in a health sense, I don't want this to be the way that, I'm just like, I couldn't do it anymore because, we weren't smart for how it was. We definitely want to treat every day as a smart venture into what we do. But everything about it is telling us to be just a little more optimistic and to keep on with your strengths and to keep on with your tools and to do some pivots if you have to. Certainly we have, here in-house for it, but don't start to lose hope too much. Don't go, the MLM hey girl route, just yet. Start selling folks, milkshakes to keep them healthy.
Essential oils are going to save the world.
Essential oils and things to detoxify. Your liver detoxify, you kids. Look that up.
We could probably all
biology.
use that right now.
We probably could. Yeah. When you start doing Instacart for just Total Wine and More, that's when you have to start to worry.
See, I wish we could do that here in Canada.
Oh.
It takes like 6 weeks to get alcohol delivered from our liquor store.
But the government owns your weed, so that's cool, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, they made that an essential service. So I just need to segue at the fact that like I'm super jealous right now of your camera because the sun is setting and I am really
but it's a nice highlight. That's like Rembrandt lighting on you. I got like 2 beaming LED panels on me right now here in my office.
I'm like trying to adjust myself so my camera can actually like figure out what's going on, and I'm baking. So, there's that too. But some positivity, I guess, on your theory. I was reading an article about how in China, they just successfully executed a 62,000 person auto show. Now, the countdown begins to see what's going to happen. That's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
This was 2 or 3 days ago that I read about this.
And
I didn't get so deep into the article to see like what kind of precautions they took and that kind of stuff. But obviously, we're thinking about going out and doing events, and I still have stuff on the books for the fall, knock on wood. Let's talk about what we're going to be doing with our staff, because obviously as employers, right, sending our staff out to a pandemic ridden zone.
Yeah, pandemic ridden world. Like, what are you doing for what it is?
People walking around with, who knows what kind of regard they're going to have, especially like, are we all going to have to wear masks if you're at a wedding? Like, do you really want to have all your guests wearing masks? Like, is that really going to happen? So I keep saying to everyone, it's like the only thing you can control is yourself, right? You have full control over what you do. You can't control what other people do. So I know for us, like, we are preparing to have our staff wear masks. And we talked about this the other day. Like, is it like just normal N95 masks, non-surgical masks? Do we get branded masks? Like, how do we make people look approachable? We even joked about
big goofy ones. That's is an option, for what it is.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you asked this one, because I had so many shower thoughts on that particular topic today. Because I too read an article, and I promise I read the whole thing. It was a New York Times editorial article on the possibility of getting back to work, but also beating COVID-19 in its weakest part, which is exposure. And not only exposure, but finding out if you've been exposed, and if with which you do know by either testing or just giving it a lead time for what it is. And the theory basically goes, between 2 to 14 days if you have symptoms. Again, let's address the fact that people are asymptomatic. We'll get to that in a second. The theory was, in a real life kind of situation, especially as you get back to a place where maybe things are a little slower, but you want to keep employing everybody. And you want to keep employing everybody because you know that in almost every state, unemployment is going to start running out. They're going to want to take people off unemployment ASAP, or reemployment as they call it in our state. To that end, Florida. Florida is
That's all you have to say. Florida at
here's
the
a good
end
one.
of
Here's a good one.
anything.
Florida is the Tampa of the United States, which is a double Florida joke, by the way.
Yeah, I've been
But I
in
love it.
Tampa. I get it.
If nothing else, we've had the most beautiful weather during this entire pandemic. So the theory goes that you have people work for like 1 to 2 weeks max,
Hmm.
and then they're like off and or on part-time or remote working for another 2 weeks. So 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, etc. And you do it in shifts or groups, etc. But it's always the same group. You don't switch the groups. It's not like one person can only work these 2 weeks and then they'll go into the group, because obviously that's how
Yep.
exposure happens, for what it is. So taking that into account in that theory, I was thinking about that for the sake of our staff members. Now, I run a pretty small ship here full time. It's actually just the four of us, between myself, my business partner, and my sales associate, Julienda, who does all my VP of sales, and then Sean, who's operations and warehousing, and he's lead. But I have 20 other employees to call upon.
Hmm.
Now, I can't guarantee that I'm going to put all of them to work right away. In fact, I would probably put four of them to work right away if they all just wanted to work back to back to back. Now, you can't control what other events they're going to, what other jobs they have, because obviously this is all part-time work for most of us that we're giving our staff members.
Hmm.
But taking that theory into account, potentially what you could do is, okay, these staff members are team A, and they are able to work events this week to this week, and so forth. And then these staff members are team B, and they were able to work, this week to next week. Split it up by the month, however you want it to be.
Hmm.
Because I can almost guarantee, unless they're working in a fast food joint, there is no other job that your staff member has that's going to be exposing them to as many people as possible.
Yep.
So to keep them working, to keep your business going, but to also keep them safe, is potentially a way of doing so, where you maybe just start splitting them up into teams and time sections and so forth. Or, you got a Monday through Wednesday crew, and you got a Thursday through Sunday crew, etc. And you just do it that way for it overall. But that is one theory. Um, we've laid out our current COVID-19 operational plans for the rest of 2020. And I did that because one of my corporate planners started to ask me about it. And they're the one that was actually the August one, which is it's just blowing my mind that we need to operate a photo booth, within groups of a few hundred people. And it's the kind of photo booth where I can't just be like, yeah, people can just do it themselves, for what it is. Off the top of the head, blanket rule for this event and every event: we are no longer operating with props, either of
Yes.
our own or client provided. If so, it needs to be entirely separate from the photo area. It needs to have their own staff member, doing it, cleansing it, and so forth. And frankly, we just hope that people kind of take the idea that it's just being discouraged from the whole sharing thing to and fro. Secondly, all of our staff members will be operating with masks on during setup, during operation, during breakdown. We will not remove them for anyone, not for the planner, not for the guests, not for the host of any kind for it. That is a operational guideline for what we need to do.
Hmm.
And third is, if any kind of contamination is detected, if anything is operated beyond the scope of the health of not only our staff, but certainly the guests and so forth, because one person touching the screen is exposure to 50 more people potentially
Yep.
for whatever might be going on. To that end, none of that, so we will stop what we're doing. We will shut down and re-clean everything right there on the spot, just to make sure that everything is to and fro.
Hmm.
Now, this all sounds so crazy. This all sounds like, oh my God, why are you doing it this way? How are we living like this right now? And then I think back on all the times I've ever gotten food poisoning in my life, and they've all been
Because
at
nobody
events.
forgets that.
Nobody
Nobody.
forgets that.
No.
Not, excuse me, 95% of all the times that I've ever gotten food poisoning, it was from food at events. And I'm not saying it was back of house. It's just exposure to people or kids or, hand grabbing or whatever it is. for it. And don't we kind of want to come out of this a little cleaner? Like, don't we want to,
Yes.
get to a place where we learn all these lessons and we start implementing them and just kind of go a little further for that? Kat, I don't know about you, like my team, the extension cord bag has with it all of the accoutrements that go along with what you would need. We have the e-kit, which is the nicest way. We call the emergency kit. That's like, you got your tools, you got your band-aids and stuff like that
Yep.
for it. Various like USB charger, so a staff member's phone, is never dead. They're
And
never
battery
stranded.
packs. Because
And battery packs.
I better be able to get a hold of you at an event.
Yeah, exactly. Batteries,
Yeah.
so nothing as simple as like a remote control can ever go dead. And then, we've also always had like a Windex wipes kit and a Lysol wipe kit. Like it's there, but it's not
Yeah.
on the regular idea that like, oh, hey, maybe we should be doing this like every 5 minutes, maybe.
Yep.
Now it is, and now we're at that point for what's going on. But like, yeah, we're gonna do it. But like you said, like, how do you stay approachable? How do you put on a mask and make it look like, come on in, come have fun, take a photo.
Hey, yeah. You gotta
Oh
look
my
crazy.
God, you guys look so cute.
It's so hard.
Do another one.
Yeah.
Or worse, a sorority squat now with masks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's happening. That's a thing
Yeah.
that happened. But like, like the world is crazy. Like, I was having a talk with Julianne today, like over lunch, and it's like, of all the things that we do and all the things that we're being asked for, in this new wild world, and all the things that we're able to create, like, do you think we'll be asked to make masks at bar mitzvahs? And she's like, you're crazy. Nobody wants that. I'm like,
Bedazzled and stuff. But like, even
well,
if you made them, are they going to wear them right there? Like, don't you have to like disinfect them? Like, you're touching them.
well, they're heated to 400 degrees. I think it's a pretty good
Oh
disinfectant
yeah,
right
you're right.
there, for what's going on
Maybe.
to that end. But like, again, it goes back to like, we don't know, like, we
Yeah.
don't know what's going on right now, for it. And you can make predictions and hopefully like whatever you say, like it becomes a solution, for what's going on. But don't go that MLM route right now. I say to anybody who's watching this, because there's a lot of things that you are already doing as a photo booth operator that is a solution moving forward. If social distancing, at least from the perspective of a service person, needs to be considered, like guests can kind of like congregate on their own and get as close as they want to do on their freedoms. But you as a service person need to be like 6 feet away. There's solutions,
Yep.
You can yell to people to be adorable, from a photo booth for what it is. You can put that camera a little further away from them and just crank up a flash. You can use a ring roamer. It's literally the same thing that we're all talking about. Like, oh my God, how am I going to take pictures without people being in a space or me being that far away? We literally all have the tools. And that's another thing that I've seen a lot of our friends and people that we know, like everyone's trying to reinvent things. It's like, why? You have what you have already.
Yep.
Like you have everything you need for what's going on, for it. So, don't start selling magic
I mean, I'm not
shampoos.
ever going to.
Not you. I'm just, again, whoever's
To the
watching.
listeners, yeah.
To the listeners.
Watchers and listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I definitely, I definitely agree. It's hard to remember that, our equipment can do more than one thing, right?
Yeah.
And that everyone's all about the pivot. But, let's talk about one of the biggest pivots.
Yeah.
Is it a pivot? But anyways, the hands-free booth, right?
Sure.
We've seen a couple of options out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's the QR code where people need to sign up on an external website. They get a QR code and that's what triggers their photo booth and essentially emails their picture to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your experience is with QR codes, but me trying to explain a QR code to even a planner, they're like, I'm sorry, what? Like QR codes are just not a thing here. So, I think it's a really cool idea. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm going to try it, but I don't know if it's going to work. We've seen the Connect style hand motion booth, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think from further, I don't know if you've researched them, but I've heard they're an absolute nightmare in terms of functionality.
Anytime that you're using a piece of technology which is already no longer manufactured, you're asking for trouble.
That's a very good
because
point.
like it's like there's a lot of that out there,
Yeah.
for like some of the graffiti walls are still made with pieces of technology that are just no longer manufactured. So God forbid you break it or lose it or whatever it might be, to that end, like forget it. Um, like you're screwed at an event. And these like hand waving booths, they're being made with Xbox Connects. Those haven't been made for like what, almost 3 years now. I think at least two
Yeah,
for
it's been a
whatever it
while.
is going on. Yeah. So not only is it kind of hard to get one, I mean, you can find one on eBay, I'm sure, but like the camera certainly hasn't changed
Nope.
since the first Xbox was made. It's the same quality camera because they don't need anything good in that thing. No one, you know, at no one at Microsoft said, you know, I bet the photo booth world would really like this too. We should pop an 8 megapixel on that thing one day and just really let them go to town, on
They'd
what they
love it.
need.
They love
Yeah.
webcams.
Um, some things, and you know me, Kat, like I love technology. Like I love doing new things. I love pushing envelopes, and so forth. But there has to be a practicality of whatever goes on. There has to be the ability for the guest to simply and easily understand it.
Yes.
And as people are now having to think about like their distance or who they're talking to or how many people they're involved with and so forth, to have them learn anything, you didn't do it back in January of this year. Why are you considering doing it now
Yep.
for it? The best offerings that I've seen have been some where it's being implemented into the software for a registration through database on their phones for them to be able to do, and then to have their own private QR code to just activate the photo booth. And that's great, for whatever it is. There's limitations to all this stuff
Mm-hmm.
for it. The technological limitation, the ability for people to do to understand what they're doing is the biggest hurdle all the way through. The second thing is you're limiting what the experience can be.
Yes.
We're all very much used to the idea that like you can set a booth up these days for like a photo, you can do a boomerang, you can do a,
You can do it all,
you
however
can do it
many
all, you can do a
backgrounds you
classic.
want.
Yeah, man, it's like a green screen and everything. And this is all superlative technology, but it's streamlining things so that everything can be efficient, everybody can stay a safe distance from one another, and so that nobody has to intermix more than they're comfortable with. But that means that you're kind of killing the ability to really expand on the fun for what might happen to it overall. And I think these pieces of technology are important. I think that any piece of digital alternative experiences that we're all producing right now in this moment is also important, not only for the moment, but as you move forward. Even when we get back to a place where we're doing social events all the time, these are now tools in your box that you could be like, oh yeah, so you want to do that big party, for the breakout of that movie, in LA? Cool, we got you. Oh, you also want everybody to have the same experience all across the nation in their homes. Cool. Also
We
gotcha.
can actually do
We
that
can
now.
actually add that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you could charge, really good, honest money for it, for
Yep.
what it is. That's the thing too. I'm not downing any of the QR code stuff. I'm just saying like, you got to look at it from like, are you concerned with the safety and the health, and well-being of the guests and so forth?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still trying to sell the experience of what you're doing to folks? And in the grand scheme of this whole idea of like, folks don't have to touch things overall, if they're gathering together in a picture, nice and close, like, aren't we defeating the purpose entirely?
Well, I
Isn't
mean,
that what's
they're
happening?
they're at an event though, right? Like you have
They're at an event.
that's why like
Like,
the separation for me is like stay away from me, right? When I'm at an event, I am here to service this event,
right.
not to be near people though, right? Like stay away. You guys can contaminate yourselves over there.
Yeah.
That's what
But
you want
that's
to do.
but that's the other thing too. Like to that end, like couldn't you just say, I'm just gonna go back to the same way that I was doing it before. Like I'm just gonna have the staff member there doing things and hosting people from a distance, from a
Yeah.
safe distance,
Yeah.
from the guests overall, bringing them in, encouraging them, et cetera, leading them to the printer station that's nicely 10 feet away now where they're going to be the only ones touching the prints and so forth. being able to offer them different options to share, or just having them shout out their phone number, whatever it is, or putting a placard with the QR code with the specific gallery that the event is being, uploaded to, so they can just go to that, that it's
Yeah.
being uploaded to live, and have them do it that way. Certain concessions do need to be made in this
Yeah.
particular, world for social sharing via digital devices. But like, you know, some things I feel right now they're beautiful pieces of technology, but I think the most rational way, they're being overthought. Like they're really just being like over considered for what we're going to move to in a
And
short time frame.
everyone's going to be so different, right? Like we
Oh yeah.
know you can't just have, like one photo booth that does one thing. You can't just have a photo taking photo booth, right? Because you can only sell that to a certain number of clients, and everyone wants something different. Everyone wants a photo and a GIF.
Yeah.
They want multiple photos, or they want, whatever it is. There's no such thing as one product that's going to fit everything. And as more of these roll out, I'm interested to see what else is coming out, because I like knowing them all. I think that there's going to be an application for each of them. And like you said, going forward, I don't think these virtual booths are going anywhere. I think this is just what caused all these companies to roll these out, finally, so that
Yeah.
we could complement the actual real event, quote
And two
unquote.
two of these major companies, by the way, ones that both you and I use, two of them, they had this technology like 3 years ago.
I
They just
know.
didn't see anybody actually like needing it, except for like, special circumstances where development costs would be built into it and so forth,
Yeah.
for it overall. And let me add this, again, opinion time. I don't think these are going to take over. I do not
No.
think this is going to be like the way that it is when we go back to normal. Because you and I have been around long enough to know that like every cycle is, it all comes back around. There's always a um, uh, sky is falling, the sky is falling kind of situation for it. Chicken Little, sorry.
Oh,
There's always a
it's like,
Chicken Little
what?
situation, right? Sorry.
Yes.
Where, someone thinks like, oh my God, this is going to be the end of it. Like, photo booths are chocolate fountains that should have gone away, a long
Well,
time
the
ago for it.
enclosed booth, right? It's coming. Like it was coming back.
Yeah, maybe. It was coming back,
It
actually. The
was.
classic one was coming back. Now, not
Yeah.
so much, right? Um,
Yeah.
but like, everything is its own cycle. But the cycle I always hear is like, oh, this is going to be the thing that kills it. I guarantee you it's not.
Nope.
I guarantee you 100% this is not going to be the thing that kills it, because again, everybody's ignoring what we used to do back in January before that. Asking people to download an app is dumb and stupid
Yeah.
and no one likes it. Asking people to use QR codes is tough and dumb and nobody likes it. Asking people to take their own photo is dumb and stupid and nobody likes it.
By
And then
themselves.
by themselves, now some of the solutions are coming through where you're able to like put people together, but now you're putting it in the guest's hands. And we as professionals, like, this
Yeah.
is what we do, this is what we train for, this is what we spend like our days in R&D practicing, like exactly the focal length that you want to do for your glam booth, or exactly the kind of pop art filter you want to apply to your particular style of product that you're
Mhm.
creating, for what's going on. So, I don't think it's going to be like, oh my God, it's going to take over. It's like, no, look at it as a product. Like right now, it's ingenious and it services everything. And I hope everybody who's listening to this is making a good, healthy amount of income while they're all getting through this. But like, I don't think come January 2021, everyone's going to be like, you know what I really want? My own photo booth in my pocket. That's what I want to do.
Yep. No. I mean,
They don't.
yeah, I don't,
They don't.
I don't think so either.
They don't. And if
No.
you doubt me, if you're listening to this right now, if you doubt me, think about how badly you would die just to go to an Olive Garden right now, just to get out of your house. They love going to the photo booth in the corner of the room because it's an experience.
Yeah,
Everybody just wants to have an experience wherever they are.
that's very true. And I think that's a great way to end this wonderful conversation we just
On
had.
Olive Garden. Thank you very much, ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen.
So much information. We've actually been talking for almost an hour, maybe
Oh,
more.
good.
That's crazy. So much good information here, though. And, I think we could keep going, but I think there's a lot to digest here. And, I think at the end of the day, you can never play too much, right? You'll never be able to play with virtual booths and touchless booths and all, like there's no better time to learn than right now, right? And I think everyone's been saying this, like, oh, work on your business and whatever. Take your time, but yeah, try this stuff out. You never know when you're going to need it, And I think really for everyone, it's just a matter of you do you, right? You try and figure out what works for you. Take all the suggestions you can and what's working for everyone else, but everyone's different. And, here's hoping that we can all get to events safely sooner than later. But we're watching you, Florida.
We are, yeah, Florida, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Always in the news, just always.
Let's see what happens. Any last words?
Again, stay away from MLM, kids. You don't need to go there. Just keep on trucking.
Well, thanks so much, Meir. It was great having you on here, and hopefully we'll have you back sooner than later and let us know how everything's going.
Will do. Thanks for having me.
Bye.